Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of the RoundTable. I am your host, Sonja B, and I have with me, as always, a guest, and I'm excited to have him. It's his first time on this podcast, but I will let him introduce himself. But tonight, our topic is From Debt to Destiny, breaking the cycle of debt and building wealth in our communities. So, Mr. Raymond Pretlor, go ahead and tell the people who you are.
Good day. My name is Raymond Lives Pretlor, and thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this amazing podcast. You've been changing lives for a while now, and it's an honor to be able to bring my contribution. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to be up here because I do not take people's time lightly, but I definitely saw the value in what you do. And it's all about educating and helping other people. So if y'all are tuning in, make sure you drop your state where you're watching from, say hello. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to post them so that we can answer them live. And if you watch it later, still post your questions and we'll answer them as we see them. So, like I said, our topic tonight is about from debt to destiny. There's a lot going on in the economy that's going to affect these things right now, or that we feel like will affect those things. But with the knowledge that Mr. Pretlor has, he's going to tell y'all how debt does not have to affect you reaching your destiny. So, Mr. Pretlor, how long have you been doing what you do?
Good question. I think the honest answer is as long as I can remember counting money. You know what I mean? And because I think this education starts from home. It starts from before school. And unfortunately, sometimes it has to stay home because people don't necessarily take it, in school. They don't have that opportunity. The Board of Education doesn't want people to have this wisdom, They want you to go to college kind of financially dumb. And as a result of that, I took my first lessons started back at home when I was a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been all about financial security and financial freedom ever since you can remember.
I remember because my grandmother was an accountant at IBM, and she was the payroll accountant, and she kind of taught me on a little ledger as a little kid. This is how you count money, and she used a little ledger to kind of bring my awareness of what it looks like to not just know my math, but also to know some financial education of adding money to subtracting money in my head early. You know what I mean?
That's good. I've always been, math was my favorite subject, and I started making money at a young age, but I didn't understand how money worked. So just off of your background, and how you grew up, of course that played a major part, but let's say if you wasn't brought up in that environment, do you feel like you would be as passionate about what you do now?
Yes.
Okay.
If I wasn't in that environment, I would probably be where I'm at now because it's part of my bloodline. It's part of my purpose. It's the way God created Raymond. And why I'm here. It's part of my assignment. And so because it's a part of my assignment, no matter what environment I would have been in, I would probably have been right here. The environment helped me to see my purpose. You know what I mean? And so God has his ways of bringing us to the awareness of our being. You know what I mean?
Right. I definitely do. I know I've always loved to help. Always love to help people, but once you actually find your purpose and you know what you're supposed to be here for, and you walk in that purpose, then you just never feel like you're working, So it makes it even better because you can show people how to do what you do. I said knowledge is useless until you share it with somebody.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead into the questions. And like I said, viewers, if y'all have questions, post them and we will answer them live. No question is a stupid question.
Right. I'm about to kill this fly.
You said what?
I'm about to kill a fly on national internet.
National internet. So when you talk about financial freedom, what does that actually mean in practical terms?
Financial freedom, that's a good question. When I think of financial freedom, I'm thinking of the ability to live life with no more bondages financially. And I say bondages because that's a part of the debt freedom conversation. But not everybody's aware of the purpose of freedom. Freedom wasn't just for us to be able to walk around free and with no cares. It's just having flexibility to live life and to be able to live with less constraint. That's really what freedom is all about. And a matter of fact, it's important to know these definitions. So I'm glad you asked, because the power to find is the power to fulfill. And so a person can't define a thing, they can't fulfill that thing. You know what I mean? So it's very important that people know the definitions of these words so they can actually carry it out.
That's a good answer. I know some people, financial freedom means something different to everybody, but I think the way you just put it, hey, that can apply to however people feel about financial freedom, if that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Because that might mean something different for different people.
Exactly.
Because some people think that the rich have no financial bondages, and they actually do.
Yeah.
If you were to speak to a millionaire, they don't have the freedom and liberty to just make a purchase or do what they want to do or live how they want to live, because they still have to answer to their CPA. they're constrained to certain tax things, and they have to sometimes get permission to do what they want to do, because of the way they're structured, you know what I mean? And so as a result, even rich people have financial bondages that they're under, not just those who are poor.
Right. And the ones that don't have those, the ones that don't have that discipline or that structure, they don't stay wealthy long.
That's the word, discipline. Yep.
It's different. It's a difference between being rich and wealthy. And, wealthy takes a lot of discipline.
Correct.
So what do you think causes most people to stay trapped in debt even when they make decent money?
Most of the time, it's not a debt issue. It's a cash flow management issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result of going years in this financial mindset, I've changed the word budget, because the word budget for me has a negative influence in my mind. My mind sees a budget as restriction. Yes. Right. And I think I share that with other people. And so I've changed the word budget to cash flow management, because I think that's the real root of what I'm trying to create in the form of a budget. And so when it comes down to people being trapped in debt, they're I would say they're not necessarily trapped, because they have the freedom and liberty that they choose, but they have to create some disciplines to recognize that.
Exactly.
Going back to that discipline. And so like if everybody was to sit down and create a cash flow management spreadsheet, I actually have one, and I always offer to all my clients before we even get started. Mm-hmm. It's important to recognize how much money do you have coming in, and from where are they coming? If we only have one stream of income coming, that's a problem, first of all. But we have to diversify that. We have to have income coming in multiple places. Be creative. God gave you a gift to do many different things, and we have to utilize those, especially in times like today, where our nation is limited based on the government's control of how money is flowing. We need to get on our own 2 feet and walk and run financially, and so that's how you can get out of that trap. You got to recognize what you got, what you have, to be able to benefit you and your family, and not be limited by a job, be limited based on your thinking. And so that's where most of that restraints come from, and that's where most of the traps are. And so we have to get to the point where we mentally see ourselves. And it helps to have a paper, write that stuff down, but it's important to see the element of money as not a negative thing. Some people see money, and that's something that we train in my real secrets of money training.
Okay.
That is actually one form of our upcoming project that we're going to be rolling out to educate, to bring some more financial literacy to our community. Our Real Secrets of Money has a specific goal to educate about all the things that we didn't learn fundamentally outside of high school.
Right.
We're learning about budgeting. We're learning about credit. We're learning about even the psychology of money. And so that's where I kind of want to go to when it comes to that trap word.
Right.
There's a relationship with money that we have to recognize we have.
Yeah. And most people don't because their mindset. Yeah.
Yep. And we were programmed to think certain kind of ways based on our environment where we were raised, you know. And so if we recognize our relationship with money, if we think back to how we were introduced to money and our thoughts of if money was a person, how will we embrace that money, that person? And when people begin to recognize their true relationship with money, they'll recognize why it's running from them. They're not respecting it.
Right.
They're not recognizing that money has ears, believe it or not. You can speak money into your life.
You sure
Or you
can.
can also cause that money to run from you based on how well you respect the money that you do have. And that goes into the word of stewardship, you know, being able to manage something that's not your own.
Right.
And so that's kind of like something that, you know, we teach. But when we get down to the budgeting class, it's important to recognize all of your expenses. And when you recognize all of the things that you spend money on every single month, and you find out how much you spend with all of your life expenses at the end of the month, including the debt,
Right.
including the, you know, the liabilities, including, you know, the subscriptions, all the things that we put our money toward. Once we recognize that, you're winning the battle in this war against debt because you're recognizing what you're facing. And then I also like to consider the mindset of having every dollar have an assignment. And so when you have every dollar have an assignment, it's almost like you have your own army. And that army is given to you, fed to you by your sources of income, more soldiers that are going out there every month to fight and answer problems, create solutions for the attack that's against your mind, really.
Right.
Again, it goes back to the mindset. And so, yeah, that trap is really on you, not having the knowledge of this cash flow management, and then not having the capability of a plan to counteract that causes the person to be trapped. And my goal is to definitely make sure that we get out of that mindset of us being trapped. We're unlimited. There's an unlimited level of resources out here,
Right.
such as podcasts like yours, that gives us information to cause it to be better. And most people would do better if they knew better, you know? And so that's, I think, the best answer I can give in a nutshell.
That is a great answer. Great answer. I mean, I was told a long time ago. I thought poverty just meant broke, but I'm like, it's not physically or monetarily broke. It's a broke mindset. You can look at that dollar and you can see that you only have a dollar, or you can look at that dollar and figure out what you can do with that dollar.
Yeah, about 100 cents. What you gonna do with 100 cents?
$100.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of cents, right?
And we're blessed. Yeah. We're spoiled in America. We don't have the proper perspective of what we have.
Right.
$1 can be spread to do so much out of our country. And our American upbringing didn't give us the image of Africa in the proper light. It didn't give us the proper image of even Norway. My nephew just got back from Norway, and we're spoiled here in America. And even though a dollar is really debt, $1 is just a piece of paper that has image on it that makes you think that it has high value. And now I'm getting into another deeper conversation of currency, but yeah, we got to get a better perspective and relationship with money. That's definitely a need.
That's definitely deep. I've never heard it put in the sense of, if money was a person. I like that. So what's the biggest myth people believe about becoming debt-free or financially independent?
They think that life is a whole, crystal stair. It's life becomes easier, when actually becoming debt-free is just one part of the puzzle. It's one part of the experience of understanding what debt is all about, because not all debt is bad. Right. And so I even challenged the ministry in my church about this confession that we have every Sunday. So yeah, I'm gonna holler at my church, Faith City, Central, there was a confession every Sunday. We literally confess, I am debt free. And I changed that in my mind because not all debt is bad. I want to have some kind of debt because some debt can make me money. A certain kind of debt, good debt, can make me money and generate.
Explain that for the viewers. Somebody might have heard that and be like, what you mean good debt can make you money?
Yeah.
Because most people look at debt as being in the negative, in the red. So you got to break that down.
Yes. So now I'm getting some nitty gritty information that our community wasn't shared this information. This was privy to those who had it and wanted to maintain it and keep it in their family. I said it on purpose for generations. And our families didn't have that conversation at the table.
Right.
Some of them didn't even have a table.
That part.
So it got to the point where I had to learn certain things. And so I've learned a simple phrase: buy, borrow, die, and pass on. Each word in that has a very meaningful impact on the understanding of money. But what it's saying is, when you're alive, when you become in the workforce, it's important to buy some assets. An asset is something that will make you money. All we heard was go to Amazon and buy this. Go buy a car. Go buy things that don't bring us value long term. They depreciate in value, if not have no value, if you were to, think about it. And so when you buy assets, something that will make you money, that will cause income to come to you separate from your job or your main stream of income. And when you accumulate more assets and you go asset shopping, you get to the point where you can keep that, and then there's going to be an area where you can begin to borrow against that value.
Right.
And when you borrow against that value, that's not taxed. ResCo doesn't tax money that's borrowed. And so when you borrow and you accumulate assets that will, literally bring in income, and you pass away, the Bible talks about you being wise and having that inheritance for your kids and your kids' kids. Yes. That's what a wise person would do.
Yep.
It literally sets up the next generation to not have to start from scratch like we did.
Right.
It gives them the ability to have opportunity and options to live a little bit less restrained by the bad debt. Because when you buy those assets and you literally borrow and you pass away, that passing away with life insurance gives you the ability to pay off all your bad debts, but also pass them off to your family and friends that you found valuable, in your life. And so when the rich train their children to do that simple term, that's in their brain when they're born. They thank grandpa, they thank daddy for showing them that way, because now they know, okay, I have assets that in my name that was acquired for me generations before me, So that's something that we're gonna have to get in our mindset to renew our mind about money. Assets. We were taught to buy more liabilities than assets. We were taught to go ahead and buy a car, buy
get credit cards,
get a credit card, consume.
Yes.
Instead of produce. And so because of that mindset of always being taught to consume, school taught us that, really. We don't get the benefits of what it means to be a producer, be a business owner, be an investor. And my first mentor in finance, he's currently a lawyer, and he has a very large firm in DC. He taught me the envelope system first, and the next mentor taught me about the 4 quadrants. And those 4 quadrants changed my perspective of what it means to work in America, and I don't want to go down that thought just yet, because it's coming up. I know it's coming up. That's your question.
As you're talking, I'm getting rid of some of the questions. That's what I love about it, because I'm like, when you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know what you're doing,
Yes.
and I know what I'm doing on this end.
Yes.
we
Yes.
on the same page, so I'm like you're already on it, so
Thank
that's
you.
what's
Thank
up.
you.
That's a good
Thank you.
thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we did touch on this, but do you think schools intentionally avoid teaching financial literacy, or is it just not a priority?
They intentionally avoided teaching financial literacy. And the reason why I'm going to go say that, because we have to think, who created the school system
You want us?
and why did they create the school system?
Right.
So this is a part of being a critical thinker. You have to think critically about everything. When you become more aware of things and you have more knowledge of the root, the beginnings, it helps you to know how to deal with it in today's time.
Right.
So if you know who created the school system, John D. Rockefeller, you understand he didn't want you to be a thinker. He wanted you to be a worker.
Mm.
He wanted you to be a follower, not a leader. And so if he wanted you to be a worker, he's going to teach you the bare minimum to stay on that job and to work
Right.
for
Right.
60 plus years. And even then, you got to go back to work because your retirement plan that you thought was going to survive for your whole life wasn't enough.
Right.
He wants you to be dumb to the point where you work in all them years. That's your whole life. As a matter of fact, if you count the number of hours in a day, we all have the same. They teach you, they train you, they program your mind to say, I got to work 8 hours. I got to sleep 8 hours. So at least 8 hours to live my life?
That don't make sense, right?
Doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. If I'm supposed to be occupied for 16 hours out of the day and only have 8 hours to live, really, maybe 7 to 6 because of commuting on the highway if you go on the job.
Right. Right.
That's not enough life in a day to make up your dream come true. You feel me? So you have to get to the point where you build your own, mind your own business,
Mind your own
and
business.
recognize that the school system only was created to teach you how to work a job, not to be financially independent and think differently as an entrepreneur. You were taught to work a job, pay taxes as the highest tax
Over and over
group
again.
in America,
Yes.
because the IRS favors business owners over individuals. And so they want you to stay in that box, right? Stay there. Be a worker. Don't be a thinker. Because once you start to think, you change your trajectory, So they purposely avoided to teach us what a credit card was in high school. So that by the time you go to college, you go to the cafeteria and there's lines of credit card applications at the table that want you to apply to those credit cards and literally put yourself in a cycle of debt. It's what we're talking about today. The cycle of debt that keeps our community strapped because of lack of knowledge, lack of opportunity, lack of resources to be able to know how to do better.
Right.
So programs like yourself and producers like yourself that have something like this, like a platform like this that will educate people worldwide, is important, and hey, it helps that you have the proper mindset, that you're spreading the right information rather than just trash and garbage.
Right. And I thank God for the people that I've been around, because it wasn't until I got into this industry that I really learned to appreciate self-development, and I was speaking to students at the school yesterday, and it literally hit me while I was talking to them. I was like, I couldn't afford to get in the rooms to hear this information 10 years ago when I wanted to. I was hungry. I wanted to learn, but everybody they charge, I'm like, and I get it because people have paid their money and, invested their time to learn it. But I'm like, I'm creating those rooms, and people that I'm partnered with, you being here, we're creating those rooms that I wish I had access to.
Right.
And the only thing that kept me from it was money, because I could not afford to get in those rooms. And now people come to us for that information. So that's exactly what this podcast and any platform that I'm on is for, is to spread information. I don't pitch sales. I don't, you know, it's information. And do it what you want. If
Right.
and I like to have other people on with me because it's good to show unity. It's good to show people working together, whether
Yes.
we're doing the exact same thing or different things. It's
Yeah.
just about getting the information out. So I'm always so appreciative to my guests for, you know, coming up here with me.
And we appreciate you because you give us, the opportunity to, spread our wings a little bit and to share to new communities. So
Well,
again, for all the others that have been on your podcast, I thank you for them as well.
well, thank you so much. You might be cry up here tonight. I'm a Pisces, so I'm mean, but I'm a softie. So look, so with everything going on, and it's nothing new. I mean, you know, the economy is always up and down. We've had Great Depression. Everything is going on. But how can someone realistically begin the journey from debt to investing when money already feels tight?
I said earlier, you have to start with that cash flow management plan. Put your money on a piece of paper and track your expenses. Track where your money's flowing. And then begin to recognize the holes that's in your pocket. Like, we have holes in our pocket. Those holes come by way of capital carryout. Oh, that's out of business. I apologize. McDonald's, fast eating out,
Yeah,
Outback. You know, that's a hole in your pocket because you're supposed to be going grocery shopping and getting groceries at home prepared for your whole week.
right,
So going out makes it easier. It seems like it's easier, but it's hurting our financial portfolio.
right,
Going out shopping for frivolous things, that means something different for different people.
right,
Getting unnecessary subscriptions, like I said, if you count all your subscriptions, you might be surprised at how much you have coming out monthly because of your simple subscriptions that you think you need.
right, right,
But those are the things that hurt us in developing some form of leeway to increasing our income.
right,
We have more than we think we do because of the simple monthly spending. And when you begin to write this stuff down and track where your money's flowing, you will find money that's coming to you.
right,
You will find, in other words, there's no excuse for you getting down the journey of staying in debt because really you have to start thinking, why am I buying these things that I can't pay for in cash?
that part.
And then again, that's really a lot of this stuff is really emotional integrity, but also emotional buying, and that's kind of it goes back to our mindset again, how we think, our relationship with money. Are we able to respect the money that comes to our hands from our sources of income and properly manage it to where we spend enough to where all of income is has some left over at the end of the month. We have
Right,
more left over. So when we get to the point where we stop consuming over the amount that we make, we're good. That's a stepping stone. And then
right,
it's about attacking that debt, recognizing, okay, as I said earlier, all the money that you have coming in, those are part of your cash flow army. And when you assign $1 towards something, whether it's you're putting money toward your life insurance, you're putting money toward your utilities, towards your mortgage, your rent, putting 10% toward God with your tithe. Once you assign $1 to something every single month, after a while, you would know where all your dollars are being sent to, but you also have a reason why, you want to get to the next point of being out of the bad debt and begin to invest, like as I said, to get more money to come to you. So that means you have to open your eyes to new opportunities that will cause you to be in front of assets that you can acquire. And
right.
the first, I think, acquisition that really makes a dent is, well, actually now it's different nowadays. You can make money by buying a car.
Yeah,
You can buy a car,
you can do
put it
Uber,
on Turu.
it out.
Yeah, you can put that car on Turu and literally make money from a car by
Right,
renting that out, sharing that car on Turu, cleaning it up from person to person, and
right.
getting it back out there. That could be a cash cow for you, right?
Mhm.
My first major investment was my first home when I was 20. I didn't want to rent. I had the mindset I don't want to be a renter like my mother was. I don't want to put some money out to someone that I can't get some kind of return on. So my first purchase was a house. I bought a townhouse when I was 20 with the help of a lot of people around me. But it was definitely my first asset that made me money.
Right.
And that was also my first level of education to where I saw why it's important to have assets rather than just buy things that don't have value beyond a week or two. As a matter of fact, if you think about our community, going back to the community, the dollar spends the night in the Jewish home for 28 days. And that leaves that Jewish home after 20 days to another community because of discipline, because of how they train themselves. But if you go to the Black community, that dollar doesn't spend more than 14 hours in our community.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about that, that'll make you really think.
Yeah.
Why are we so frivolous with our money? But the Jews, the Asians, the white Caucasian brothers and sisters, they don't really cause that money to leave their community. Yes, because they've acquired more assets.
Yeah.
But it's also because we didn't go shopping where they were shopping.
You don't keep the money in the community.
We don't keep the money in our community.
And we outside our means.
Yes.
We tend to be, we want to wear our money and show our money off instead of being proud and knowing that you have it and nobody sees it.
Now, yeah. Now I get it. We were enslaved for 400 years, and I can imagine the first 5 years when we were free. That mindset. Okay, now let me bust it loose. Let me go ahead and buy some stuff. I need to feel emotionally. Right. I need to feel good about what I got now. I got freedom. Freedom. I'm no longer enslaved. We actually are on the job, but I'm able to now have some flexibility to buy money and live a little different, right?
Right.
But after a few hundred years pass, or really not that many years, but once we have recognized that we're free now and we have the capability of growing wealth just like them, the cat's out the bag. We can now do what they were doing and win.
Right.
And so we were taught, get a will, write your stuff down in the will and you're good. But they don't tell you about probate. Right. They don't tell you that, okay, you can write a will all you want, but if something is not the way it needs to be, like a debt is not paid, they will, whatever that will says, whatever, the state's going to take it back.
Yeah.
And it hurts me to see wealthy people such as actors, athletes die and their family gets scraps. Right. Because probate got involved and they didn't have a trust.
They didn't have nobody managing their stuff
they didn't have an estate plan, correct. Yeah. They didn't have a family office to literally help them to manage their wealth. They literally got a will and died. No life insurance, just figured things will work itself out. No. I could tell you a major actor that passed away, his kids got $1.9 million and he died with 10.
Wow.
What happened to the rest? Oh, and the wives, I mean the baby mamas, they got 1.9. The state took the rest.
Yeah.
Because the state plan wasn't planned. And right. And probate did what they do.
Yeah.
So again, it's important to have the right knowledge, the right information to win. And when you do, you will win. You'll be all right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some unique challenges that you've seen when it comes to financial education in our community?
A unique challenge that I've seen when it comes to financial education in our community is that we trust people that don't really care about us.
Yeah.
We trust what we're told as being as good as the Bible. We trust that the school system has our best interest long term. We trust that our jobs are offering us 401ks because that's our retirement plan that they're going to match. We trust Wall Street to do what it does. Every 10 years, you're going to get 10% income. We trust these systems that don't care about us.
Right.
And so that's one of the first challenges I'm seeing, where most financial advisors
Mm.
would teach you to invest in Roth, invest in 401k, invest in the systems that have been in place all these years. And they've made millions, they made billions. That could be you too.
Right.
Trust the system and the process that we're offering you. But meanwhile, I'm going to one of my books.
To your books.
What the,
Okay.
what the Rockefellers would do
That's yes, I got
in the
that. That's
thought
one of
process that,
my oh,
yeah, this book would teach you not to go that route. Because there's a family called the Vanderbilts that chose to do that system of even trusting a bank and thinking that that bank would have their best interest. Well, let me give you some school about this bank that we trust. The banks created the dollar, right? They created the dollar in secret because of the government not being able to do it on their own. They needed the banks, 12 banks to create the dollar. And it goes by the name of the Federal Reserve. It's not a government entity, but they created that dollar to fool us, to make us think that this is a government piece of paper
mm-hmm.
that allows us to make purchases. And then when they removed gold from that dollar, it became fiat. It became just a piece of paper that's been printed with a number on it, but it's debt. It's a promissory note. And so when you understand that background, you understand that they also created Wall Street to kind of begin to manage some of that with the businesses, manage some of that wealth with different businesses, and they trade a stock to make you think that you have ownership of that business. And so when you buy a lot of stock and you buy these mutual funds, you're getting a piece of that wealth.
Right.
And they have the capability of creating those ebbs and flows called the S&P 500 to kind of give you some level of thought process that you're making a difference in those financial ups and downs. When if they taught you about life insurance and the purpose and the reason why life insurance gives you protection that the S&P can't,
Right.
you will begin to recognize that, hey, I was sold a lie. People put their money in 401k and they can lose it all, thinking that they're retired with $200,000, $100,000, $1 million in their TSP. And they think that that's going to last them another 30 years after
Right.
right? And that's sometimes not the case. And they have to go back to work, right?
Right.
But if the life insurance was invested at that same amount of time, that's more than $1 million that could have grown.
Right.
That is coming back to you penalty free, coming back to you tax free, and it's your money instead of the company that you were working with, because they actually own part of that money when they share it with you in the 401k. And if you understand why the 401k was created, you'll understand that that's just a part of the way to kind of get money back to the employer.
Mm. It
The
gives
pension
them
plan,
credits.
say again?
It gives them some tax credits and it gives them benefits.
It gives them benefits.
Yep.
And the pension was more favoring the employee.
Yeah.
And they had to get rid of that because the companies were going bankrupt. People were living longer. And they were paying them 80% of their income for sometimes in their hundreds. And they were not bringing any money back into the company. And so
Right.
companies had to transfer their mindset to say, we got to make some of this money back. And so they did that by using the stock exchange to make people think that they're investing in the stock exchange, which, again, going back to some history, people stopped investing in the stock exchange when they lost money during World War I.
Right.
And when World War I kicked in and the Wall Street lost all their money, they went back to their broker and said, where's my money? Oh, well, I'm sorry, we lost it because of the war. And they didn't trust Wall Street at that time.
Right.
They didn't trust the banks at that time. And so they had to kind of create some way to bring money back into the Wall Street system. And that's how they did it. They created a 401k, brought money back into the system, did away with the pension, and forced people to work. And you can create a retirement plan called an IRA, called a 401k, 403b, and trust that system will take care of you. instead of life insurance. So the Rockefellers recognized this because they were friends with the Rothschilds. They knew the dollar. They knew the banks did not
Right.
have their back. And so when they literally put their family in the life insurance cycle called the Rockefeller method, they began to literally rain money on the next generation for the
Right.
rest of their existence to this day. And they started that whole thought process shift that I'm so glad that I got a hold of, because now my clients are winning in that realm, and I'm
Right.
preparing them all for an upcoming retreat advance to go to the mountain and have a nice weekend getaway to build this financial vessel within their family and their community. So yeah, but
Well,
that's
that
the
sounds good.
but,
It's always nice to get away to be able to
yeah.
brainstorm and mastermind with other people.
Hmm.
The people, I
Hmm.
don't think people do that enough.
Yeah, I have an estate planning team, and Christina is the coordinator of that. And
Okay.
Christina and I and a few of my team members are going to go up to this mountain and train them on how to create this wealth within the family and get it to the point where we are independently provided for, and all of us will have a, the mindset of being a trust baby rather than rather than just be born into debt, and that was my family. I had a grandfather that died with debt, but also a grandfather that passed away with millions to leave for his two kids and his two grandkids. And I had the best of both worlds as well. And so I do know what it means to have that inheritance and feel like, okay, I was thought of before I was even born. And
Right.
but I need more of your viewers to have that mindset
Mm.
to leave the inheritance, leave money, not debt, leave assets for your kids and your kids' kids. It's just the way we need to transition our thinking when we go to our family reunions. That's the strategy time. That's the time to find out who are our business owners in our business. Who are
Right.
those in our business that provide a need that the whole family can benefit from? Okay,
Right.
now who are the intercessors? Okay, y'all working on this. Then who are those who have some form of land? Who has skills to be a real estate? We're gonna buy all our real estate through you in the state, and strategize and get to
Yeah.
the point where we win within our family. And
Right.
that,
And
I think, is the best answer to that question.
it is. And one of the unfortunate things is, not having those conversations at the dinner table with your family. People are afraid of leaving stuff to their kids now because their kids are not good stewards of anything.
Mm,
You leave little Johnny a house, it might turn into it might turn into the shot house. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like you leave them a whole lot of money. So the secret that the Rockefellers had was the trust and the family, the board,
yep.
where we don't just leave this money to you. You
Right.
get this money at you do XYZ, you get this money. If you want to
Right.
borrow money from it, you got to actually have a business plan. This money has
Correct.
to be taken out to generate more income,
Correct.
not to go ball at the club or just, money, like he said earlier, every
Yep.
dollar has a purpose.
Every
So
dollar.
leaving it behind, like he said, life insurance and investing is the first step. But
Mhm.
setting it up after you're gone is the most important step, as you just left some money to, with no purpose.
Correct.
So yeah, that's the family dynamics, and that's another topic that I definitely want to talk about is how the family dynamics has changed and
Correct.
how people are forced to work. They can't really tend to the house no more, even as a two-parent home. But like I said, that's another topic. If you're listening and you want to talk about it, holler at me.
That's right. And it's a simple succession plan. It's a simple, okay, this is the family business that this person is running. How can we continue this into the next generation? What child in our youth of our family has this gift in them? Or
Right.
can they be coerced to kind of build on this, because this is bringing us wealth. This is bringing us millions every year. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And this is getting on the topic of business ownership. And I think the best teacher that I've had when it came down to this business ownership is this dude right here, Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Rich Dad.
Yes.
When I picked this book up when I was 19, This what led me to buy that house when I was 20. You know what I mean? And so like when we recognize that your business is important to build, it starts with you. It starts with you. If you didn't come from a family of carpenters, you didn't come from a family of electricians, and you have another gift, go on and do that. Find out why God gave you those gifts. And 9 times out of 10, we have these talents on purpose. And we have these abilities intentionally in us uniquely so that we can begin to generate income for our families and our next generations. All we have to do is know how to package it and bring it on with a vision to build a team, create systems, and be a business owner rather than a self-employed person, you know? And when we recognize that, life changes for our kids and our kids' kids. We're able to now homeschool our kids and to raise them in an advanced method in the school system with better education. I know an 18-year-old that graduated college because she was homeschooled by her parents. Her credit score was 850. I think it was 850 or 900 because the parents knew a little better than what the system was teaching us. And yes, she was Afghanistan and white. My neighbors across the street, you know what I mean? And my neighbors gave me that image. So again, it goes back to environment. It's important to recognize that what we were told and what we were taught was programmed sometimes to keep us in a poverty mindset. We have to change our ways to get out of that stinking thinking and really change the trajectory of our family.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I hope y'all taking notes because he's dropping a lot. But if y'all miss anything, y'all can always catch the replay. So make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube.
Thanks.
So once you start working with your clients and let's say you get them started, you get them rolling on their plan from debt to destiny. Oh, wrong question. How do you help them stay consistent once they start improving their financial situation?
How do I help people to stay consistent once they start improving their financial situation? Well, there's a thing called annual review. And this is something that I'm just really, really implementing and seeing the bigger picture of. Annual reviews help me to sit down with my clients and literally review the past year of the financial plan that we created a year prior. And when I sit down, and I just had another meeting with another family that's down in Texas. She was probably my first client of One Accord Financial Solutions. And at the time, we were managing her house. She's in the military. And her 2 kids were under 18. So we were creating a whole plan for her and her 2 kids. And to see them now over the age 18, I was able to literally have a nice little annual review with all 3 of them. And they recognized all the work that their mother did. And they were so grateful. And they were so attentive. You would think that a 20 and a 22-year-old would be all bored about finances when they were like this.
Right.
Looking at their mother's financial plans. And I was like, look at this. You know, they really want to know how to manage their money because sometimes they know the mistakes that their parents made, which is what I highlighted.
Right.
And they don't want to make those same mistakes. And so that was a class in and of itself for them to recognize firsthand on how to win financially, you know? And so to help people to stay consistent, once they start improving their financial situation, let's sit down and have an annual review. As a matter of fact, I have my assistant currently making calls to get everybody that we've worked with for the last 4 years in front of me on Zoom, in person, or in the office at National Harbor, somewhere where we can sit down and review what we've talked about, what we've started, implemented, and how are you doing? And let's make adjustments for the next year. And so, yeah, it's important to have that regularly now. And I didn't really have a revelation of that until recently. My brokerage, First Financial Security, they literally sat down and taught us how to have an annual review. And I never really thought about it until they sat me down. But yeah, it's important to have that annual review because I didn't know that out of that will come 5 new plans, you know, to help them to structure their lives, you know, and it literally changed the trajectory of even me speaking to the kids now. And now they
Yeah.
know my number. Now they have my email. And then they are able to say, okay, I have a financial strategist. All right. I'm 20 years old with a fund. I'm going to buy a house. How long? That's my plan. Okay. When am I going to retire? All right. I got somebody that can hold my hand. Oh, it's on now.
Right.
And to see them enthused about it, that blessed my heart. That
That's
blessed my heart.
awesome.
So that's how
That's
we're going to stay consistent.
that's how it starts. I know, growing up, well, I ain't gonna say, well, we were broke, so we want nothing to hide. But I do know some families like they separate certain things from the kids. They don't want the kids in the business. I'm like, no, those kids need to understand.
Mm,
Like
mm,
you had like when I one of the companies I first started working with, and he was telling me every company I've been through, practice companies, there was something that I took from it. So no partner I had or company I was with was ever a waste of my time.
mm-hmm.
Um, he implemented or he really reiterated, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
the importance of involving your kids, especially when you work from home. I work
Yes.
from home. So my office is home, is here in the house, and your kids, they know you're home. So they think you're not working. No, put your hours that you're working on your door, close your door, tell your
Mm-hmm.
kids during this time, don't bother me. I mean,
Mm,
like, you have to train the same way you raise your kids, do everything else,
right.
raise them and train them to respect your job and
Right.
also to be involved in everything. I tell my kids all the time, don't ask me why I said no. If I
Mm,
tell you something, look at the chart. This is the budget. This is what we
mm-hmm.
spend on XYZ. I don't care what we have in the bank or
Right.
where, this is the budget because I'm a
Right.
firm believer in living within my means. And just because you make more money, you don't instantly start increasing your expenses. To
Right.
me, that's hustling backwards. I
Right.
don't think any money is extra money because I have not retired yet.
Mm,
Like, so how can any money be
mhm,
extra when I have not? I'm not
mm,
done working.
right.
Well, I can have $1 million in the bank, and if I get an extra 500,000, that is not extra because I don't have what I need to retire yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's all about how you think about money.
Yep.
This
But
is
you are your children's first teacher about that.
exactly,
You
and
are their first
everybody
teacher.
should be.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
my mom.
I probably would not bought my first house if I didn't have my mother as an example.
Right, that's what I was asking earlier. Like, do you think it would have been as easy because you came up in a household that already knew about finances and
Mm-hmm.
money?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. My mama learned from me. I mean, she knew how to budget a house, but
Mm-hmm.
I inspired my mom to get licensed because she
Say
learned
that.
so much about how to really build the wealth.
Right.
Everybody know how to get out here and get a check,
Right.
but what you do with that money, and are you planning for your future? Because that job don't care about your future.
They don't care about you or
They
your family. They want to work you until you're done working for the day and go home to sleep.
don't.
They
And we
don't care
just
about your well being like they want you to think that they know they care.
they don't. And I tell people, I'm like, I don't knock anybody for doing what they do,
Right.
but changing jobs, all you doing is you changing slave masters.
Mm,
That's all you're doing.
facts. You're
You
right.
know, but hey, everybody know what they know. Everybody do what they do based on their mindset, and you
Right.
just have to meet people where they at or leave them where they
Right.
are.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So let me ask you this, and then I'll let you. I know you got something you want to show them, and you got some books you want to talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely want them to know how they can contact you if they want you to help lead them to their road to destiny.
Okay.
So, what would you say to someone who feels like it's too late to turn their finances around?
It's never too late. Never too late to begin to track your money and turn your financial situations around. Because I think, and I'm very proud of them, some of my best clients are over the age 60.
Wow.
My best clients are over because they already know the financial strategies
Hmm.
that I'm talking about. They already know. They just didn't have someone to sit down and create that plan with them. So they
Right.
already know. Some of the work is already gone. Like they have knowledge that this strategy is going to benefit me and my kids. And so they literally create a plan for themselves, but
Hmm.
they also set their grandkids up most of the time.
Yeah.
And they want to, take it to the next generation. And so it's never too late because as long as you have breath in your lungs, as long as you are closing your eyes under somebody's roof, you're going to have to manage your money in some form of fashion.
Right.
And you can also, I think there's a good example of that as far as um, managing your finances and thinking about where you place your dollar in the Bible, where it highlights three different people that were given the same amount. One person buried what they had, one
Mm,
person multiplied what they had, and one person kept it the same. Maintained it. And the person that buried it, he didn't have a good experience. When the master came back, asking him, "What you do with what I gave you?" And he thought, "Okay, let me give it back to him the way I got it." That didn't pan out very well with him. But the person that caused it to multiply, those two were able to get some form of benefit as a result. But that kind of goes back into understanding of, no matter what you do, as long as you get something in your hand and you're a steward of somebody's dollar, as long as you're a steward of somebody else's stuff, you have to manage it to be able to bring a better return. And you always want to think that way. You want to think, whatever leaves my hand never leaves my life. So
right.
I want to make sure that if it's in my hand, I'm going to give it back in better condition with interest in some form or fashion as a way of saying thank you.
Right.
It's not a punishment to have interest given back, but it's a way of saying thank you in
Right.
a person to person kind of experience, but that never too late.
Yeah, that's good because a lot of well, I use my mom as an example because she's been a travel nurse for like my daughter's 21 for
Oh,
21 years, and working as a contractor, you don't have a 401k. I mean, that's what everybody's used to.
mm.
So I helped her set her up for her retirement, and it wasn't until in her 50s.
Wait,
But
she's a travel nurse and she doesn't have a 401k?
she's a contracted where they don't.
Contracted.
She's like an like independent contractor. So she gets
Yeah.
contracted. She doesn't
Okay.
work for one company to give
Hmm.
her a 401k,
Wow.
but she gets paid very well. So she's able to fund her retirement so that she can still retire on time.
Hmm.
And she was so grateful for that. So to be
Hmm.
able to help my mom, and then she turned around and got licensed because she wants to do the same. Doing the same thing. It's
Hmm.
beautiful. And so trying to get my kids to get on, but
Listen,
that's like beating a brick wall.
but keep doing what you're doing. They see
Yeah,
it and they
that's
know it's not in vain.
yeah. Just like the
They
client,
know.
just keep doing
Hmm.
what you're doing. Eventually, they'll come around, right? So
Yeah.
my daughter's 21, my other son will be 17, and my youngest is 13. So they got time.
Hmm. That's true. Very true.
See, and shout out to our viewers. We got what I am Brandy Nicole, and let me see who else we had. Olivia Yates. Thank y'all for watching, and I see y'all comments. Thank you so much. Yep, it's
Perfect.
never too late, love. Never too
That's
late.
awesome.
So you
Yeah.
had some books that do you want to talk about the
Yeah.
books, or you want to show what you want to do
Um,
first?
I want let me just show them a few slides if you don't mind. I want to give them some of the benefits of our real secrets of money. We're actually creating this Facebook group, as well as something in LinkedIn that will help people to kind of get educated on a regular basis. And this is free information, no
Free
cost to you, and it's intentional because, as you said earlier, you shouldn't have to pay for information that should help you to live better, help you to do better. You shouldn't have to pay for that.
It's like
And
charging for water.
there are a lot of trainers and coaches that are coached to literally charge to make your time more valuable. And that I've seen people go crazy and in tears give up because everything that they wanted to learn, they had to go to some form of person's class that charged them an arm and a leg, and they could have read a book to kind of find the same information out, you know.
Right.
So, Real Secrets of Money is our offer to the full community that is open to increasing their mindset and of the fundamentals of finance. So, this is just one of the classes that I recently was able to teach in our National Harbor office, and I'm just gonna real quickly just browse through these because I want to be able to get us out. I know it's a little after an hour, but I don't want to be too long on it. But I want to give some debt payment methods that will help you all to literally get some concepts of how to be able to win in your debt, your bad debt freedom plan. That's and so we talked about snowball and avalanche methods. These are two methods that are easily done. Everybody can do them, and it's a way to get out of debt with less, um, with a plan that can be very easily done with just the understanding of the differences of each method. All right. So real quick, as you see here, I'm talking about the snowball method first. This is the method where we help you to pay off your smallest of your loans to get them out of the way, which is much extra, so they can see more extra money at the end of that month. And so, like, for instance, if you were to list all of your debts and literally go from the smallest to the highest, and you begin to pay off that smallest debt first, and put that same amount of money that you're putting toward that smallest debt to the next debt, and then you pay that debt off, and then you go to a higher debt. Whatever money you put toward those first two begin to snowball and cause the next debt to be paid off faster, right? That's the snowball effect, and that snowball method. This is just for their snapshot capabilities of what I just said. It's important to know that the snowball effect method, because what it's doing is helping you to have a perspective of the things that you are owing. These are not your regular expenses. These are the things that you owe: credit card debt, your car debt, your mortgage, a signature loan. These are the debts that you created in time because you felt like you needed it and you didn't have the money in the bank. And so this snowball method helps you to kind of get the ball rolling as far as getting some kind of a plan. And then these are the pros and cons. I do like this method, but it's not the best method, I would say, because you could end up paying more interest over time. And that word interest is extremely important to think about. And I'm going to highlight why toward the end of this. But the avalanche method, this is where you focus on paying the loan with the highest interest rate first. Mm-hmm. This is where, the highest interest that you might have is definitely going to be a credit card. All right. And the lowest might be a school loan or a mortgage as far as interest. And so this is where you're beginning to pay off the higher interest rate first, all the way down to the lowest, because what's happening is those that are getting the highest interest are putting more money out of your pocket monthly because of that debt that you borrowed, And so this is for those screenshotters that want to get what I just did. And,
it's good stuff.
So
this is good stuff.
This is the con. I always just focus on the cons to this method. You might be discouraging at first when it comes down to like the time that's associated with it. You might take longer getting out of debt with this than the first method, because mentally you're seeing it take longer. It might be faster, but it's taking longer. Even though the interest rates are going down, the money's still being spread out to those lower interest creditors, So imagine yourself debt-free. Put yourself in the mindset. Matter of fact, close your eyes. I love to do this. Close your eyes. All the viewers that are out there in Texas, in California, in Swahili, Liberia. I want to close your eyes, because this is worldwide. I'm not kidding. This is worldwide. So close your eyes.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
And I want you to begin to just now think where your house, all your credit cards, all of the debts that are bad, that are considered liabilities, not bringing you any income, are paid off. What does your monthly cash flow management look like? You have more flexibility to do more with your money now than you did before, right? Let's get to that point where you have that bad debt out of your life. And I'm going to help you to see a new method that you probably didn't know. You can open your eyes now. And this is the strategy that I'm going to highlight. You're going to create a budget. That's going to be step one to seeing that vision come to pass. Or cash flow management spreadsheet, right? Or you can just email me. I'll send you a template and work it out with you. You're gonna stop adding more debt. You're gonna stop consuming things that take money out of your pocket. And if you're gonna consume anything, you're gonna become a producer of an asset. Get an asset. Get something that will bring money into your family, into your household. And then you're going to build an emergency fund. That's a simple bucket of money that's sitting to the side that can be used to replace income from your normal sources of income. And so that will give you, I always recommend six to 9 months of all of the monthly expenses in one bucket. And I always recommend the best place is putting that into a life insurance policy and get that policy started with the bare minimum. And then celebrate your wins. That's a part of your strategy to get out of that bad debt strategy, you know? And so what if I can teach you, though, how to reduce the volume of interest, get out of debt 9 years or less, improve your cash flow, decrease the taxes, as you see here, and save for college, whatever you want, by turning you into the bank. So giving you some history now, a bank is a business. How would you like to be the bank now? If I was to put $10,000 into your pocket, how much are you going to get back from that?
10,000 in my pocket.
If you were to put, let me back that up. If I was to put $10,000 into my bank, or you put $10,000 into your bank, how much are they going to give you for that $10,000?
Not even right now, not even 1%.
Right, below 1%, right?
Okay,
but if you flip that, and correct, but if you were to take that same bank and say, all right, now I got a bank account with you all, if you were to ask for a loan of $10,000, how much would they charge you?
One of them numbers down there.
One of them numbers down there, exactly.
Right.
Do you see how the bank is in the business of making money for themselves, not you?
Mm-hmm.
That right there tells you why the Rothschilds created the bank systems to really aid themselves. And then the government will what's the word that they say? They will literally relieve those banks in case of an issue and get those banks back to normal.
Right.
They don't do that for us. So let's make you the bank. So let's look at Mark and Joyce. This is a real quick illustration of a regular family that has income, as you see here. They have 3 children. They have no college savings, by the way, but they have interest of increasing their retirement income. They want to reduce their debt. They want to get their spending under control. They want to do some college planning and increase their savings. This is a typical American family. So let's look at their savings and investments. They have a Bank of America account, and they have a Fidelity account. Fidelity is where their 401ks are held, and the bank is where their emergency fund is held. And this is where they have the account value of their bank of $6,000 in that bank account, holding their funds for that emergency. And they have $36,000 in their 401k. Their monthly contributions to those are $325 a month. And then they have an interest of 0.25 going into the bank, and then the 5% into their 401k. But all those are also available in what we call our family bank, your family bank. This is a program that we actually offer to our clients. And so if I was to offer to recognize their debt, this is what their debt looks like. They got a Visa. There goes that Visa. They got a medical, dental bill. They got another credit card, some furniture, auto, and mortgage. As you see there, they have their balances are increasing as you go down, but their payments vary, right? Well, imagine doing that snowball method, and they took that Visa and they paid that Visa off. That $55 that you see here that was going toward that Visa, once that balance of $460 is paid off, that $55 gets added to the medical dental, right? So that adds $55 to $200. When they expedite that and they put that money toward the $200, that causes that bill to be paid off faster, right? And the snowballs. It's a good, easy method. And then the flip of that is the avalanche method. This is where the highest interest, which would have normally been the furniture, that gets paid off first. Then the next one will be the credit card. Then the next one will be the Visa. You see how that works?
Right.
That's how you use the avalanche method. But you see the number right there? This is my last slide.
Okay.
The
Which
big
number?
the big red dot.
Okay.
That's the actual amount of their real debt with interest.
Mm,
But we don't see that on our monthly statements. We see
right.
the 180. We see this right here. We see the bottom total debt 180. That's what we see. Because we think that's all we owe plus interest. We know the interest is a number, but we don't really know what that looks like.
Right.
But when you work with our organization, we literally will show you what your real debt looks like. And for Mark and Joyce, their real debt is 308. That is double
Yeah.
their total debt.
Mm-mm.
And it takes them 30 years to pay all that off. And the interest paid $199,000.
That's
And
crazy.
interest. And so I literally have a life insurance policy that I normally offer our clients to literally pay off that money between 9 and 12 years on average. It's another tool. The Rockefellers knew that.
Right.
They use life insurance. As a matter of fact, other people that are very wise, you can shut that down now. Other people, such as you can go to Walt Disney and look at what he did with life insurance. He used life insurance to purchase or to create Disney World.
Right.
J.C. Penney is in operation because of life insurance, not the bank. They became their own bank.
Right.
One thing that you often highlight, Sonja, is that the life insurance becomes a vehicle that we need to start learning how to drive. And I'm like, look, you make it so simple and plain, but not just us, but there's people like I know people don't like the man, but this is another one of my first books that I read, No More Debt by Dr. Creflo Dollar. I know the man has had some bad things in press, but the man got a great heart. He got a great understanding of money. And in this book, I was like 17, 18. And I got this book in my hand, and it changed my mindset of what is savings, what is what's the real purpose of savings. And for a 19-year-old, I didn't have too much, but I didn't know that I was making money by that time. And I learned that I want to have money in my pocket because I might not know when I might need it. This is another book I read, God's Plans for Finances by Dwight Nichols. Another book that I read when I was about 19 years old, and changed my life, But again, I use other people's knowledge to kind of learn. I didn't get it from just my household. And I think the best book that I think I've read separate from the Rockefeller book is The Power of Zero by
David McKnight.
David McKnight. I met the man. He taught me in my brokerage out in Vegas a couple of years ago. He taught me about the three buckets, and that book highlights those three buckets. The taxable bucket, where most people are putting all their money. The tax deferred bucket, where we're, again, trusting the process of the government so that they can get paid again, or the tax free. And when I learned how to be a real financial strategist, I learned it's time to get our money out of these taxable and tax deferred into the tax free buckets.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that, these books of wealth changed the trajectory of me, but also my clients, also those who have taken it upon themselves to care about their finances and do something about it, not just sit back and expect it to fix itself. They are making an asserted effort to see to it that their next generation is in a better position than they were when they first started, So shout out to my clients at One Core Financial Solutions.
Yeah, shout out to your clients for allowing you to, put them on a better path, because that's the beauty of it. Seeing your knowledge being implemented and changing people's lives. And that's what's most rewarding when you're working in this industry. Like I tell people all the time, I get paid to do what I love. So getting paid is just the bonus,
Mhm.
And when
Yep.
you're passionate about what you do, it really shows. And
Sure.
I can tell you're passionate about this because you care about the people that you're serving.
I
I
do.
tell people all the time, we're not in sales. We're in the people's business. Like, we have to have a heart for people in order to be successful, to sustain the success. You can get in this industry and make a lot of money, but
Correct.
again, it's about maintaining that wealth and actually making a difference, an impact in other people's lives. Um,
Yes.
I got one more question for you,
Okay.
um, that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
So, what's your end game? What is
What's my end game?
your ultimate goal when it's all said and done? What is it? What's your end game?
What's my end game? I think you already know the answer to that one. My end game is to leave a legacy that um, changes the world with my life. I've learned that the cemetery is filled with dreams, and
Mm,
it's one of the most valuable places in the world. The cemetery. That's
wow.
where everybody that in the past died with dreams and visions that could have made them wealth
Right.
and wealthy. And so I want to die empty. I want to die with everything in me out, either in my family, in the community, and in the lives of others in a form of a book that will literally cause my life to be worth living so that someone else can live better, you know? And so my end game is to make sure that I leave a legacy for my kids and my kids' kids that will cause, even though I think Jesus is coming back in the next decade or two. I'm not banking on that, but I want my kids and my kids' kids to know that their elder has thought of them before they were even born,
Yeah.
and I want them to be able to be in a position of wealth that will cause them to have options of
Right.
being in their own world, not depending on anybody but themselves. That's my end game. I'm thinking about that.
That's beautiful. And I believe, and I know you're doing it. So your future generations is definitely going to be grateful to you and the generations before you that have inspired and motivated you to do what you do today. That's
Thank you.
that's beautiful.
Thank you. Because
So
I'm using again. I'm using an example of a family member. My grandfather was the vice president of Johnson Publishing. Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine.
yeah.
Jerry Johnson was my example of a black man that left something for his kids and his kids' kids.
Mm,
And I want to multiply what he did for me in my seed.
right.
So yeah, that's my stepping stone. I like to also highlight.
That's good. I mean, like, is everybody has a story, and everybody started, different, and everybody's unique, and so that's one thing I do love about my guests. Everybody has different backgrounds, and even though some of us have the same mindset now,
Right.
it was all inspired and motivated from different, for different reasons and different people. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you if they want more information, if they want to tap in, connect. You got any events or anything coming up? Just what you got.
Well, I always love events. Events are actually my first business was an event planning firm. And so, yeah, we definitely have some upcoming events. As I said earlier, we have Real Secrets of Money starting up in January.
Okay.
Um, the way that they can begin to get attached to that is, yeah, simply email me at raymond@oneaccordinvest.com. But then you can also go to Facebook and as well as LinkedIn when we get that thing set up. But they can go to One Accord Financial Solutions and literally look for the group called Real Secrets of Money. I think it shows up on there. Or they can just go to Facebook, then groups, and then under Real Secrets of Money, they'll be able to add themselves to that group. And then we will begin to have training there on a weekly basis. We're going to do every quarter, and until we have no more classes to teach. I think it's like 14 weeks of
Okay.
classes at no cost. We're
Wow.
going to teach on Real Secrets of Money every week until the end of the year as a trial. because we ultimately want to be able to have it on our own website where we are able to do more. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I want to have the online academy by the end of next year, so that we can have more extensive education and tools that will really kind of bless people's lives and worldwide. You know what I mean? And so that'll be, I think, the first space that they can experience an event online. Um, and then I'm going to go back to our cash flow game nights. Every month of this year, we had a cash flow game night at the last Friday of every month. So we might start that back up again in January, where we literally play cash flow and we have practice of what it looks like to have a financial ledger, to calculate your income, then calculate all the expenses of your life. You have a job in that case, and you're given a payroll, and you have to recognize what it takes to get out of the rat race. And that game gives you practical practice, that you can take that same mindset and create your own method of getting out of debt using assets and using cash flow to be your method of replacing your job income, you know? And so we're going to go back to our cash flow game nights as well. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have I call it all about the family advance, not all about the Benjamins, but all about the family advance. I don't want to call it a retreat, but I want to call it advance because I want the family to go to a higher level and get to the point where they are able to recognize their family members that are going to be added to this generational wealth vehicle called a trust.
Right.
And so Christina and I and a few other my team members are going to bless them. We're going to have some fun. Family fun is always enjoyable, and memorable. We're going to feed them real good. Going to get some nice fitness and exercise while we're up there in the mountains. We have a good time. But and it just looks like it'll be, I want it to be in January, but I have to change that. I met with my team this week, and we're changing the date from Martin Luther King's birthday weekend to maybe one day in April or May, to where the weather is better, because where the mountains that they were going, there's some steep hills. Those hills are woo.
And the cold and the hill, and the steep,
right.
Some of these bones don't be moving like that in the cold.
Correct. And because I want them to get out every morning and have a little PT, little physical training in the morning, I want them to be comfortable, and I want them to enjoy the environment. And they might be a little restrained if there's snow out there, and it can be done indoors, but I really want it to be experienced outside. So, so that'd be our outside in-person event, and again, I would probably also have that Real Secrets of Money in the office as well. I might do a hybrid.
Yeah.
For the last, yesterday was our last day in the office for my team. But we're going to do it again, I think, in January, in which we might include in person as well as online. So that'll be a great experience for you all to experience in January. Okay. And I look forward to that, so that would be, I think, three good events: cash flow game night, Real Secrets of Money, and our all about the family events coming up.
That's good. So y'all make sure y'all tap in and connect, because he got a lot of good things going on. Another great resource that you can leverage, for free information. But don't just be a sponge.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then, of course, I'm going to YouTube. I can't negate that. We're going to YouTube in the new year. And so I would definitely want people to begin to subscribe to that. In the meantime, go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn, go to IG, One Accord Financial Solutions or Investments. We're still transitioning. or Raymond Lives, because that's my more of my personal brand, that I'm able to be more flexible with information, So yeah.
Well, is there anything else? Any last words?
When are you going to have an event of your own where you take your viewers to an experience where they can experience you in person? Do you got something going on? What's going on? Come on.
I do. I have a lot of things in the works. I don't have any dates for anything yet, but I'm always available for you to invite me to something. I have families that invite me to dinner to talk to their families, that have those, not powwows, but financial conversations, to talk about things that they think has to be down my bubbly personality. I make everything fun and interesting. We could talk about dying with nobody crying. I go to churches. So that's more of what I do. I attend networking events, but
Yeah.
I will be bringing back me and my business partner, Shamika Valencia. She's also one of my panelists, well, co-host on another podcast that I do.
Okay.
We we will be bringing back. I
Okay.
don't know. Look, I'm gonna get this out. That's the devil trying to stop me, but I want to put it out there because when you put stuff out there in the atmosphere, it does
Yes.
hold yourself
That's
accountable.
why I'm asking you, because I didn't get a
Right.
chance to,
I want it
have my
better
little
for you to ask me
contribution.
that. But yes, 2026, we will
Okay.
be bringing back the Business Empowerment Gala. We had
Yes.
the Business Empowerment Gala, I think maybe 2 years ago now,
Mhm.
and it was great. It was my first event, and we just want to restructure and bring it back. And we're going to be having some workshops. Some workshops will be free. If you attended the first Business Empowerment Gala, you have access to those workshops for free, or you get discount tickets. Because everything can't be free because it costs to throw things, but we'll have some free ones and some that you pay. You won't be my face all the time because I'm always for collaborations. So most of the time it'll probably be a panel with the keynote speaker, and most of the time I'll probably be hosting, more so being the person speaking. But it's about networking and collaborating and meeting other people.
That's gonna be
So
down there in North Carolina.
it will be in North Carolina.
Mm.
So if y'all following me, this ain't my time. You put me on the spot. If y'all watching this, y'all already connected to me. So just continue to stay tuned. Lock in with Raymond because he already got some dates set for some things. But if y'all want to connect with me,
This
I'm
is for my viewers. I got some people looking too.
You do. I think the people that was watching were your people. That was out here cheering you on. But yes, y'all connect with me. Subscribe to this. Raymond, he'll be back. I'm gonna have him back up here because he touched on some things that we can definitely have a whole episode about. And
Mhm.
that's what it's all about.
And I'm,
So
I'm coming. Sign me up for that. I'm coming down North Kakalaki. Sign me
yeah,
up.
you're gonna be one of the panelists. We need you to talk about, the fight. I always need other financial educators because
Mhm.
when you have more than one voice in the room,
Yeah.
it validates the information.
Right.
I can tell people all the time, but when somebody else is telling them the same thing or at least agreeing with them, it
Mm-hmm.
helps people accept the information. So
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely be keeping you in the loop on that.
And I got somebody else. I got Dr. Marshall down there. Dr. Marshall she's like the grandmother's podcast leader. I would say she
Oh,
has her
okay.
own podcast, and she's down there in North Carolina. So I'm gonna introduce you because she's definitely someone that you want to
That's
invite as
what's
well.
up. That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I want to be on other people's podcasts too. Like I just started,
Mm-hmm.
not just started, but I've been running this for over a year. But I never done a podcast before, and I've been running this for a year. It's fun. I
It's
know I can
nice
do
too.
better.
You got
Oh,
great guests.
thank you. And that's
I'm
what
learning.
makes the show. They don't come to see me; they come to see y'all. And I ain't
That,
mad.
that
I love
too.
it. I
That
love it.
too.
But I try to bring people on, like I said, that I feel are genuinely passionate about what they do,
Yeah.
and that's also valuable in bringing information. And y'all guess, sometimes y'all be asking some questions in the comments that questions add value, and it helps.
Do we have any questions tonight?
No, we only had comments and cheerleaders tonight. There was, you were so good. They didn't have no questions. You answered everything.
No. They were just quiet. It's Friday night. They
It's
tired.
Friday night. They pre-gaming, but look, if you ain't watching live, you can
Right.
watch it whenever you want to, and you can always post your questions. You can reach out to Raymond, you can reach out to me, and if we don't know the answer, we know people that can get you the answer. Because
Right.
I'll say I know I don't know everything, but before I guess, I'm gonna find somebody that know the answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You will.
if you want to be a guest on the show, or if you have a topic that you want me to cover, just reach out. You can email me here at jointheroundtable.info@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to hear what you want to say. I ain't gonna
Yes.
guarantee you're gonna be up there, but if you got something good to talk about, I'm always open. But again, Raymond, I really appreciate you tonight. This was some great information, some stuff that I
Thank
can,
you.
take notes off of, and add to my arsenal. And I'm gonna post those books. The Creflo Dollar, I wrote them down, but for the viewers,
Yeah.
post
No more debt. The no
no
more
more,
debt
no more
one.
debt.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
this was this was this was one of my first books that I kind of educated myself. And the God's plans for
Mhm.
finances
Okay.
with Dwight Nichols. This is really dope. I didn't mention it earlier, but Rick Edelman. This is a very popular book.
Let's see.
Rescue Your Money. Another very valuable book. I've learned a lot of lessons about just having confidence. When it comes down to being able to make certain financial decisions. Trust yourself. It's okay to make a mistake. You learn from your mistakes.
Right,
But then
right.
when you recognize those mistakes, it's important to begin to win with the proper decisions from the lessons that you learn. And then again, like, this was my first business book that kind of really changed my mindset. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. The next one that he taught, the next book of this series is the Cash Flow Quadrant. You got to get that
Yeah.
next one as well. That one really transcends thought when it comes down to being an employee.
Yeah.
Power of Zero by David McKnight. That's very bright. I don't know. And this one was the one that I learned about the taxes,
The taxes. Yeah.
and really strategizing so that they are able to win in that tax game. And then this is the end game book for my clients. What would the Rockefellers do? And so when you learn what they did to success their family to where they are now, where they're so rich you don't even know how much wealthy Rockefellers walk the land, but
Mm.
to this day they still are one of the richest families that are not even seen on the map. You don't see them in the press for a reason.
Right.
They
Okay.
own the press. That's a whole nother conversation.
Whole nother conversation.
I don't even know if we can talk about that on your broadcast. That's
I
something.
can talk about whatever we want to talk about in here.
Yeah, but if you talk about things like the shadow government, they're not gonna let this thing stand up there that long.
I'll start another one.
I heard that.
Somebody gonna hear it before they shut it down. Shoot, but yeah, but what I wanted to say, about Creflo Dollar or in general,
Yes.
when it comes down to people, you like said, people may have their opinions about him.
Mm-hmm.
Open your mind up to just what to say, eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Yep. Yep.
If what he's saying is true, if he got good information. I'm not saying you got to go try to be this man friend.
Right.
Get the information. You don't have to be the same person he is,
Right.
but if the Lord allowed a dog to come and tell me something that made sense, I'm not gonna reject it. So we gotta change your mindset. That's all I'm saying. Change your mindset.
And you look at your mind as a seed.
Mm.
Your mind is a seed. And that goes back to my pastor. My pastor just wrote, Dr. Mike Freeman, he just wrote a book about the power of a seed. And your mind is a seed. Yeah. What you plant in your mind will eventually grow,
right,
and blossom whatever you fed it. And
right.
What you focus on will expand. And so if you're focusing on financial education, you'll be financially wise as you continue to water that seed and put yourself in the right environment. Give yourself some sunlight, oxygen to breathe, Every seed grows down before it grows up. Right. And so get that book. I don't have that one right now because I don't even think it's been released yet. But Dr. Mike Freeman has been my pastor since I was 15. That was the environment I put myself in, to kind of cause my life to be able to blossom to where you see me today. You feel me? So, yeah.
Oh. Well, y'all, the ones that stayed around for the whole time, I appreciate.
I know we did go over a little bit,
but it was good. I mean, it naturally went this long. Hey, if you can't watch it all at one time, watch some another day. But get this information because it's good information, and if it's not for you, pass it along to somebody else. Raymond, I appreciate it. This was great. I
appreciate you, Sonja.
Looking forward to have you back, and we will definitely stay connected on these events and everything. And we're looking forward to doing some things together.
And I'll be inviting you. You're definitely going to be invited.
Okay. Well, y'all have a great night, and make sure y'all share this live. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I'll see y'all not next Friday, but I'll see y'all at another Friday at 6 o'clock with another guest. So y'all be safe and have a great night.
Ciao.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. I hit the wrong button.